I want to teach you something about networking and network protocols, and the best way to do this is to show you a quick little demonstration. At the surface, this will teach you the difference between HTML and HTTP, but beneath that, you'll also learn how internet communication, Telnet, and network protocols work. Over the years, I've shown this demonstration to many junior engineers and students, and time again, it served to really connect the dots for how the internet works. We'll start by showing you what is quite possibly the greatest web page ever created. For this demonstration, we're going to use two web browsers. I'm going to use Firefox, but you could probably replicate this in any other web browser. I'm going to start by going to a web page. The web page is pracnet.net/simple.html. Once I enter, that web page will load. And here you see a simple web page that, not to brag or anything, I wrote myself. Notice all the cool things that exist on this web page. It has a title. It has a subtitle. It has this line dividing these two sections. It's got some text that is decorated as bold, some text that is decorated as italic, and of course an image. But I want to show you the code that actually created this masterpiece. And to do that, I'm going to right click on the web page and go to View Page Source. This will show you the actual HTML that was used to render the web page that you're looking at. So if we view the page source, we'll see something that looks like this. Now, for the sake of visibility, I'm going to take that and drag it to this other window just so that we can see them both side by side. And what you're looking at is the HTML code that rendered this website. So what happened was my web browser, Firefox in this case, made a request to my web server, pracnet.net, for the page simple.html. The web server responded with this text right here, and then the web browser turned that into something that looks a little bit prettier. This is the text or the code that created this web page. Now this code is written in HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. You can see that all this text starts with an HTML tag and ends with this closing of the HTML tag. Most of HTML involves these open and close tags to identify how that text should be displayed. Notice in here all these paragraph tags. These paragraph tags represent this text over here on our web page. And what makes some of that text bold or italic is these tags over here. The strong tags to display that term strongly, that's what shows up as bold, or the M for emphasis tags that makes the text show up as italic. Now, obviously, this is a very simplistic website. There's not really much to it. If I went to a real website like Wikipedia's website, and then looked at the source there, you'll see there's actually a whole lot more going on a real, actual website. My simple website is just something I use specifically for this demonstration. Now, what I've just shown you is HTML, but how did my web browser actually get this HTML code? Well, it did it by doing an HTTP request. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's the messaging structure that's used to download HTML pages. And we can replicate exactly what my web browser did by using Telnet. So let's go ahead and open up a terminal, and here I've got a standard Ubuntu VM, but you can do this from any Linux distro or even Windows if you have Telnet installed. So I'm going to run the telnet command. I'm going to make a telnet request to my web server, pracnet.net. I'm going to do this request over port 80. Port 80 is the standard port that you would use for an HTTP request, meaning a web request that is not secure. If you look over here, you'll notice that this indeed is a not secure website. I am not using HTTPS for this request. In any case, if we go back to the terminal and I hit enter, you'll notice that I was able to connect to my website's IP address successfully. And now I can send the HTTP request. The HTTP request looks like this. I'm going to send a GET request for the page simple.html. I'm going to make this request using HTTP 1.1. And then I'm going to provide the host parameter to say that the host is pracnet.net. This is the web server host that I'm using to download this web page. If I enter twice, you'll see now the web server's response. All of that text that just appeared is not something that I typed. It's something that the web server sent to me within my Telnet connection. So if I scroll up in here, we'll see this is where I did my Telnet. This is the HTTP request that I sent. And this right here is the HTTP response sent by the web server. And notice at the end of that is the HTML code. And hopefully that HTML code looks familiar. It's the same code you see right over here. So we were able to replicate exactly what Firefox did using Telnet and this GET request right here. That's all web browsers do, is they send HTTP GET requests, get a web page, get HTML code, and then render it in a way that looks a little bit more visually appealing. Now, of course, that was a very simplified look at HTML and HTTP, but hopefully that communicates the bare bones functionality of how both of those protocols work and how they're different from each other. And of course, the main thing that I really wanted to communicate, show you, is really how any network protocol works. It's as simple as a TCP connection opening, some commands being sent and receiving some data, and some way of rendering that data in a way that is visually appealing to the user. So we showed you this using HTTP and HTML, but most network protocols work the same way. Now, you won't be able to replicate every network protocol using Telnet in this way. Telnet sends everything using ASCII characters, and the protocols that are expecting ASCII characters can absolutely be done within Telnet, but a lot of protocols are expecting data in binary chunks or even encoded or encrypted, and that's harder, if not impossible, to do using Telnet. But the basic functionality of how those protocols work is exactly as we demonstrated. So there you have it. Hopefully that clarifies how internet communication and HTTP and HTML work. And if you enjoyed that, then I have an announcement for you. I'm taking my Networking Fundamentals series, which is available now for free on YouTube, and expanding it into a full networking course. It's going to be the premier, modern, vendor-agnostic course teaching you the core of networking. Whether you're considering a future in network engineering, or whether you work in any other tech discipline, let's be honest, everything is connected to the internet these days, and understanding how that works will set you apart in the industry. So if you're interested, check out the free module on YouTube to get a feel for my teaching style. And if it resonates with you, go to pracnet.net/networking to take advantage of the current under construction promotion. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.